Hello, Vern. How are you?
Doing good. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, no problem. I just had a little echo there. I forgot to turn off the YouTube. All right, folks. Welcome, Formicast fans, to another episode of Formicast Podcast. This is your host, Durka, and with me, I got another awesome person from the west side of the country. I was almost said state there, but that's the wrong thing. It's Friday night, and I'm getting all tongue tied. Well, welcome to another Formicast Live. This is probably the first Friday night. Actually, no, it might not be, but anyway, Vern from Antopia, USA. Welcome to Formicast Live.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, you're welcome. Intro. Why don't you tell our watchers, our audience, more about you?
Originally from California, relocated to Texas about 3 years ago, and my time in California, I always kind of sold queens and colonies to just kind of support myself in the hobby because I have a wife and kids, and it's hard to spend money on just anything. You know what I mean? So,
Yeah.
and then when I moved to Texas, there was a smaller market here, and so I got I had got a permit to move my aunts with me from California to Texas. I did a little more looking into it and found out I could get permits to sell on a commercial level
Oh,
as a commercial resale company, and so I got that figured out and started the website. I think the first year I was here, I still sold the way I used to, and then
mm-hmm.
started the website last March. So
Nice.
we're right up on a year. Might have already passed, or it might be in a couple days. But
Okay. Awesome. Yeah, just want to make sure everything is good with volume. Looks like it so far. All right, cool. You got any updates of this week? Anything that's been going on that you can share?
yeah, last week I headed down to South Texas and I got my first flight of the year, which is a couple months earlier than I normally do. Went to a kind of uncharted area that I haven't been to. There wasn't a lot of collection records, but I knew the species was somewhere in the vicinity of
Mm-hmm.
South Texas, and I watched the rainfall data and watched the wind history for the months prior, or the rain history for the months prior, and the wind history for the days I was planning to go. It was kind of a last minute thing. I almost didn't go, and the guys at work kind of convinced me, and so did my wife, and ended up going down and catching Myrmecocystis
Nice.
placodops 01, which is the largest honey pot in all of the United States, supposedly.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, you didn't used to just send one of those to Casey.
Yeah, yeah. Actually,
Nice.
I think I had about 50, and they all sold out. So went to
Nice.
all stretches of the states that we have permits to ship to. So
Nice. That's awesome. Yeah, I'm still looking for like different vendors near me. I know I think Mac I'm able to buy from him because he can ship to Michigan. Um, but I'm not really sure other than that. I know there's a newer guy in Wisconsin. Well, he's not nearly new. T Bone from statewide. Uh, he's got permits to sell, so I'm waiting on him too to see if he's got anything. But yeah,
yeah,
you're
we've been asked about Michigan before, and just as far as what I have available to me and what makes sense, that's kind of how I
yeah
go off of. So
yeah
um, I will expand further that direction with like a small amount of species, Lasius, Campanatus, things that are
yeah
common everywhere, basically. So
yeah.
I did add a bunch of states west of Tech or east of Texas this season, and I'll do more next year.
Nice.
It's a long, lengthy process, and they changed the system now, so I had to reapply for everything,
Oh
and
jeez.
I did 22 or 23 states all at once, and
Dang.
it was a full day's worth of work. You have to make maps for each species native range, and it's pretty detailed for what you have to do for it.
Dang. Yeah. Shoot. Canadians and Europeans have it easy.
Yeah, I've heard for Canadians to get them from here to there though is a little bit more difficult, but to ship around each other,
Yeah.
Australia, you have to. There's certain states in Australia or districts or whatever they're called,
Yeah.
where just between the two you have to have permits.
Yeah. That's wild. Shoot, just for little insects, there's so much laws and bylaws and all this stuff we have
Yeah,
to do.
I mean, realistically, it does make sense for the most part. If you were to get a honeypot queen or a bunch of them shipped to you in Michigan and they got out, it would be no issue because they would not survive. But
Yeah.
there is places where they could get out, propagate, and
Yeah.
then it could start affecting the ecosystem around it. And even
Yeah.
where I'm at, there is a lot of red imported fire ants, and I'm outside of the quarantine map where they
Mm.
shouldn't really be.
Yeah.
And I've seen them clean out areas here,
Yeah.
like clean out all the good ants, honeypots, harvesters, campos.
Yeah. Lexi from Portmore just said only within Canada.
What's that?
The When it comes to ants being shipped and stuff, only within
Yeah,
Canada.
yeah,
So
yeah. Because someone had contacted me trying to get ants, and they said that they could have them inspected and do all this crazy stuff to potentially get them for me. And
yeah.
at the time, it wasn't something I was interested in doing. So
Yeah.
I can go into that a little more later.
Yeah. I'm currently trying to figure out ways in my area in Michigan to get the hobby more noticed. Where I can speak about that now. My updates for the week, I kind of go into it. So I'll start at the bottom here. So I went to Pet Supplies Plus with my girlfriend. You guys have Pet Supplies Plus over there?
I don't. I'm not sure.
So yeah, it's like a
Petco we have. But
yeah. So they're like rivals with Petco. Like they're a different pet store. And so I went there with my girlfriend, and we were walking around and stuff like that, and we saw some snakes and other lizards and stuff, and a bearded dragon caught my eye and stuff, and so this past week, maybe 2 weeks, I've been like researching and looking up how to take care of baby dragon or bearded dragon, all this other stuff. Well, while we were there at the store, there was this lady. She came up to us and she was, asking if we needed help, and we were talking to her and stuff like that. And then I'm like, "You guys have any like lights, like heating lights or basking lights type of thing?" Because Casey had told me I should get a light and put it over my pogos so I can heat them from above. Because I've been using a heating cable going around them, but I haven't used like a light over them. So I was looking around for that, and so I was telling her about that. I was like, "Yeah, I need to get a light for my pogos," and I was telling her, it's like, I keep ants, and like she was about to walk away, and then came back and was just like, "Wait, you keep ants?" And I was like, "Yeah," like it's some random thing that she's never heard of someone keeping ants before. And I was like, "Oh yeah," and I'm like thinking,
definitely a conversation starter almost every single time.
"Oh yeah." And so I'm wearing my hat, my Formicast hat. Well, I was thinking I was wearing it, right? I was wearing a different hat. And I was telling her about the podcast, and then I went to like show her my hat and realizing I wasn't wearing the right hat. And then she was like, well, wait, what? And I was like, "Oh, let me just get my phone and show you what the podcast is called." So now she's listening to the show,
Awesome.
and she messaged me on Instagram, and she was telling me there's this event she wants to do on Earth Day, so like I think the end of April, where she wants to get different types of animals at that specific store, and she's interested in ant keeping and maybe like doing like on a site ant keeping thing. Um,
Sounds
Maybe
awesome.
like catch a bunch of queens and like take them there and see if I can, you know, maybe convince some people in the public to keep them and that type of thing. But yeah, it'd be sweet. She's interested in keeping ants too, so I'm gonna see if I can convince her to join us.
Yeah, that's a good way to grow
So
the hobby. I mean, besides doing a podcast or something like that, but
yeah,
little kids with parents, I mean, they're
yeah.
always super interested. Parents ask a bunch of questions. My wife actually, she breeds ball pythons,
Oh,
and
nice.
I
Okay.
and I've went to a couple reptile conventions with her, and um, I I've sold a few there, but I mainly am educating more than anything, and
All right.
it's actually a really good time. And a
Yeah.
lot of those people end up contacting me later. Oh, I got some ants, or they even buy from me down the road, and
Yeah. That's
it's
cool.
all bits and pieces. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. So Sunday, for those who are listening to this on podcast form, um, past Sunday, when you're listening to this, my girlfriend and I are going to a reptile expo here in Grand Rapids, and they have more than just reptiles. They have tarantulas, they have jumping spiders, they got scorpions. There's just a bunch of other things too. And so I'm going, of course, to get a bearded dragon, but also to see what type of insects are being sold. Like if there is, because tarantulas are cool. I'm not interested in keeping tarantulas. I would like to keep jumping spiders, but my roommates won't have it. But it'd be cool to get my foot in the door over there and to be able to have a table maybe the next time or something, and bring ants over and do that type of thing.
Definitely,
So,
be a good time for sure.
oh yeah. So, but yeah, so that was one thing that I've been pretty pumped about. And when I'm recording, doing stuff like this, hopefully the plan is to have a bearded dragon here on my shoulder. That'd be pretty sweet. Um, which I'll let the listeners help me pick a name. That'd be really cool. It'll be the mascot for the show. Um, as for my colonies, my pogos are doing really well. They're growing. Um, they've been still kind of storing their seeds, but they've been chopping at their protein and growing and laying eggs, and they're doing well. My Nova Barracensis campanatus queen, she laid 2 eggs, like I had said the last episode. Um, but when it comes to eating, I've been trying to give them mealworm. Like I chop up a mealworm, like a small little piece, just so that they can eat it. They don't go near it. Um, so I'm like, you maybe need to change it up, do something different. Um, but my Formica little colony, they're eating the mealworm I give them. But um, other than that, that's pretty much all I really have for updates. And you kind of went over what you got going on. Um, get a female and name her Amanda. Or okay. I think I'm gonna get a male, Lexi. I don't know if I want to get a female right away. Maybe later on if I end up breeding them, maybe. Um, but yeah, so we didn't get any questions, um, but you did get some questions from a story that you were talking about like your trips and stuff. So we can kind of go over that and what that looks like and if you have any planned. So yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, there was a time where I was kind of focusing on the YouTube too, but it was before the website really kicked off,
Mm-hmm.
and I think the two can go hand in hand and be helpful to each other. I get asked a lot of questions daily, without fail.
Yeah.
A lot of them being the same questions. Some of them being species specific stuff. I have a lot of people contact me about honeypot care that didn't even buy ants from me that just need some advice. And so, one of the answers to the story was that we should make some species specific care guides.
Mm-hmm.
Which would be helpful to a degree. And then probably the number one is like do like a vlog of a trip start to finish and kind of what data and research go into it, how much of it is a hunch, how much of it is prepared beforehand, you know what I mean? And
Yeah.
the trips can be sometimes 4 or 5 days and travel 1,500 miles. This other one was 2 day trip, 20 something hours of driving, 1,400 miles round trip, you know what I mean?
Dang.
To
Yeah.
somewhere I've never been before. And on that one, I just kind of went with it. A gut instinct. I knew the area in general. The whole southern half of Texas had the species, but I had to kind of look at the environment from above to kind of see if I could
Right.
see what I wanted. Placodops, they specifically nest in gravel where most honeypots do not. Um, So, but yeah, I think that would be something I'd want to focus on more than like the species specific stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it'd be fun to and to kind of help people get an idea of what you need to do because a lot of people will not go on a trip unless they think they're going to be successful.
Right.
And part of it is experience it enough times where you can literally look at data and make a judgment call and say, oh, my probabilities, very high or very low, or is the juice worth the squeeze type of deal. And like for instance, my trip on this last Saturday was I said 65% probability,
Mm-hmm.
and it paid off, but it was by the skin of my teeth almost, and it was the hardest 4 hours of digging I've ever had to do,
Dang.
in my ant career. So
Shoot. Uh, Walk us through like what that type of trip entails. Like, what do you have to do normally for it to be successful?
that one was on a whim to an area I haven't been, but for example, one of my spots in Arizona, I'll start watching it now,
Mm-hmm.
and I have my weather alert set up to where it sends me a message at 8 a.m. and then 8 p.m. every night. And then I have lightning tracker on there too. So if lightning strikes within 30 to 45 miles of it, it'll tell me. And then it'll tell me every 15 miles it gets closer and closer till it happens. And then I use rainfall data as well. So
Okay.
um, right when it starts to rain, then I'll start checking my rainfall data every hour on the hour because it updates. And once it passes my certain threshold, then the next thing I do is I'm checking my predicted wind for the next day
Mm-hmm.
or that day, depending on where I'm going to go. If I'm going real far, I'm looking for the day after,
Right.
and then what species I'm targeting. So are they going to fly in the morning? Are they going to fly at night? And
Mm-hmm.
then I look at the wind breakdown, of every hour or two.
Yeah.
It's a lot of data stuff. You know what I mean? To an area I haven't been, it's more look at the environment, look at the substrate they're living in, try to decide if this is where they're at. But that's in the beginning of every spot or the beginning of every season, or if you're like Casey, for instance, is
Mm-hmm.
researching Utah,
Yeah.
the biggest thing for him is going to be to chase rain and find out where these things are. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so if he can chase the rain and he starts getting queens, he's dropping pins in his phone,
Mm-hmm.
then next year you can go off the flight triggers. But for now,
Yeah.
in his shoes, he has to find the species first. And beforehand, you can also go out to the field and find active colonies before they're going to fly.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
if I go find Navajo 1,000 miles away from here, I know when Myrmecocysis Navajo. I know when they're going to fly. I know what triggers them. So if I can locate the nests,
Right.
then I can do the rest of the presumption on my phone. You know what I mean, or my computer.
Mm-hmm.
But it's very time extensive and it's constant monitoring. And the longer the trip away is, the more I have to be sure. And I work a full time job too, so
Yeah.
Saturday I had to miss my half day of work, which is all overtime. Fuel, hotel, all
Yeah.
that. So to really nail it down, you want to be successful. When I'm just going out for stuff for myself, it's a little bit of a different story. These I wanted for myself too, but I wanted to offer them to people.
Yeah.
That's our probably biggest push to the website is to offer cool stuff that you can't get everywhere else and make it accessible like within price's reach. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. Casey just said in the comments, I've been reading data for 2 years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's gonna get it this year.
Yeah.
I think last year he was a little lackluster, so to speak,
Yeah.
and
Yeah. He
but
told me. Yeah.
life gets in the way. But
Yeah.
if you really really want it and you go out and chase it, and it's like when you go on something real far and crazy, it's undescribable. Like when it pays off, you know what I mean? Even
Right.
if you were to just get something out of it, but you
Yeah.
found queens, you added data to your book. But to drive really really far off of just researching data alone and
Mm-hmm.
to be successful is it's pretty wild to be able to predict what nature's going to do based off experience. You know what I mean?
You're right. Yeah. I feel like for me, and then in like Michigan, like I need to look at the map and figure out where to go, and then see with other ant keepers in the state, because I know there's more. There's, on that Discord, there's others in there. I'm in a group chat with them in there, and we're all waiting for the first flight. We're still waiting.
Realistically, that's really your best bet is community. But
Yeah,
even Ant Web and Ant Maps, like
yeah,
I've seen it be right a few times. I naturalist
yeah,
that is probably the most one of the most powerful resources because it's not always ant keepers
yeah.
and ant keepers, especially like someone in my position. I'm not gonna go post a pin on INAT. You know what I mean? Of
Right.
where I go because so much went into me finding this spot and I do all this stuff alone.
Yeah,
But there is a lot of people that are out there looking at plants and birds and whatnot. They happen to see a queen on this day at this exact location. And then I
right.
can go look at that exact location, pull up the weather history,
Yeah,
look at what happened there as
yeah,
far as what my daily high was, what my wind was, what my humidity was, what my precipitation was that day, total
yeah,
downfall of rain. I mean, you could learn a lot by it, and it's a pretty powerful tool. But like Ant Maps, Ant Web,
yeah,
not really reliable. A lot of it is from old museum kept specimens,
yeah,
going off of their latitude, longitude, whatever.
yeah.
But yeah, I would say INAT, and then your community is
Mm-hmm.
and if you can get a good community, we have a Texas um, ant keepers kind of like Facebook Messenger group, and we all talk about what we're seeing,
Yeah,
and if the guys in Dallas are seeing stuff, that means I got about a month before I'm going to start seeing it, or
right.
vice versa. So
See, the problem with Michigan is we have a Facebook group, but it's people outside of Michigan that lead it. So it's really weird. And it's like, I try to,
probably a
like,
sales driven group then.
yeah. And so it's like, why are you trying to focus it toward Michigan? You know?
It's probably
Yeah.
sales driven. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I did try making one that was just for Michigan, and it just didn't work out well. So, but it is all right. I just use the Discord and talk in that group chat. So, yeah. We do got a couple questions from Lexi for you. How much stock on average do you have? That was the first question.
That that just depends on the species and the flight. I keep a lot of honeypots.
Yeah.
Um, that's like when I first got into ant keeping, I bought 3 colonies for buku bucks. They all 3 died, and I was after them. After them, I started talking to people in Southern California, and then became friends with them. Got some locations, got some idea of when and where it was going to happen. And a week after my daughter was born, I
Mhm.
went, and someone called me, and I started driving,
Yeah.
and so that whole experience, and then having honeypots, like I just think that's the most appealing species to have. So those I keep on hand. But I'd say on a flight, no matter how far I travel, 100 is the most I ever collect.
Yeah.
And I usually don't do that if I'm digging. If I'm there when they're flying, which has been a rare occasion, but it has happened, 100's about where I stop.
Yeah.
And that allows me to get everyone that wants some fresh queens, and I'll usually hold 20 or so back to
Yeah.
grow into colonies, and then I'll offer colonies a little down the road. But
Yeah.
our whole deal too is to try to have stock, make it profitable, and
Mhm.
still offer people cheaper
Yeah.
prices and quality stuff. Like on the website, we have a guarantee that any other legitimate USDA approved seller, we can beat prices on it for that species. But so far, I've never had anyone come to me and do that
Mhm.
because our prices are relatively low
Yeah. I mean, you
for the
don't.
work that goes into it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, competitor wise, you don't really have that many competitors either. You know.
Right.
I mean, there's a
There's a
couple,
lot of
but
people that sell ants, but
yeah.
um, doing it the right way. And
Yeah.
our next biggest thing probably is making sure people have success. Like Casey, I kind of hound him because I want him to be successful what he has, but I
Yeah.
treat every customer that way. If someone's successful, they have a better chance of sticking around in the hobby, especially new people.
Right.
I had a dentist from Dallas this week that ordered a bunch of ants, and he's asked me a ton of questions. He's like, "Oh man, I hope I'm not bugging you or anything." I'm like, "No man, I want everyone to stick around in this thing and help grow the community. It's good for everybody, good for the business, it's good for the hobbies in general. It's
Yeah, for sure. Uh, let me know when you can ship to Michigan, and then I'll definitely get a
Yeah,
queen off
that
you.
that's probably going to be a next year thing. If I didn't already do it this year, let me double check real quick
Okay.
because I added so many states that I don't remember exactly which all of them they are.
Yeah.
Mainly because I don't have stock right now of those kind of things.
Yeah. So I'm looking at like
Uh,
your ant supplies and stuff too.
yeah, I got Minnesota and Montana. Those are my only ends.
Dang.
But
Okay.
Michigan will probably definitely be on the list next year. You're not the first person that's asked me, so.
Yeah. All right.
And
Sweet.
eventually, we'd like to be able to probably do most states, maybe besides New York and Florida. New York doesn't have anything in common that I have accessible to me. Florida, you have to send a sample of each ant and have it verified by their people there, their state people, so it can be costly or time consuming.
Jeez. Yeah. Um. I see you're getting aesthetic ants stuff on here too.
No, I did do aesthetic ants for a little bit. It just it was a slow moving product, and it's not really like cost efficient for me with the
Yeah.
you know. I think it's a good product. Also, in the United States, 3D printed stuff is not super popular, and
Yeah.
not a lot of people that keep it long term. We are actually going to be releasing our own 3D printed nest with
Oh.
a large humidity chamber that is based with hydrostone.
Oh.
So there's similar ones out there. This one is a little different. It's a stack design of how it works.
Oh. Okay.
I'm testing one right now, and it seems to be working great. So
Oh, sweet, dude. Yeah. Let me know when you got more details and when that comes out, and I'll definitely
yeah,
check it out.
I'll actually send you one to test out if you'd like.
Yeah, that'd be sweet. Yeah, that'd be awesome. Yeah, because back to the aesthetic ants thing, I had Aunt Bay on last week, and he was telling me how he ordered from aesthetic ants, and it didn't go through. Like he couldn't like in the shipment, it didn't come to him, and so then he told aesthetic ants about it. It got another one sent to him, and then it got blocked again. And so I'm like, why don't you just go through someone that hasn't? And so I told him about you, and I was like, he's got him on his website, but um, I guess you're not going to be selling those. Yes, pour more. Yes. Another question from Lexi. How do you manage caring for your stock without being overwhelmed with quantity?
Yeah, that can be a little crazy, but I have a separate facility on the property, and that's where my wife does her ball pythons, and then I have a separate room for the ants, and I keep all the website stuff over there, and then I have my personal colonies behind me. I'll give you a little peek there, and that whole hutch there's all my
Oh,
personal colonies. So I just kind of I rotate, a couple days a week. I'll go over there and feed everything. That's part of the reason why. Say I get 100 queens, I I offer 80 of them as fresh queens, and people buy them up, and then the other 20 is. When I first started doing this, I had a big rack that had 300 or 400 colonies on it, and I would sell them all, but in California the market was so much larger. You know what I mean? And
yeah,
it was easier shipping. I'm shipping across the country now to the states I have permits to, and
yeah,
that can be more difficult to do. Um, so I try to keep my colony numbers down, but
yeah,
I think I might have ended up with only like 10 or 11 colonies to winter over, and then those all sold as soon as I opened up for shipping.
yeah,
So, but it does take a lot of organization and just
yeah. Like I remember the year right before I took my break, I had like, man, I think I lost count how many test tubes I had. But I had like so many like Tetramorium. I um had Formica. I think I had like 10 to 20 of each, just like founding, and then like just with stuff going on, like I think like half of them died and half of them I let back out into the wild before winter started or before fall. And so I was like, okay, unless I'm being serious about actually trying to sell ants, then I'm just gonna, keep the ones that I need to keep.
You can burn yourself out real easy. That's kind of was my whole. I used to have everything in the ant facility, and then I switched it up so my personal colonies were got their attention on their own time, and the website stuff got its attention on its own time. And it kind of
Yeah.
because it started to just feel like the whole thing was a business and not fun. You know what I mean?
Right.
And I started all because of fun, and I had I don't know 20 personal colonies too, only one of each species, but I narrowed that down to I might have 12 or 13. I think I have 9 species of honeypots
Dang.
now, and I have a couple doubles back there just of how the year played out.
Right.
But and if something has like big sentimental value, like I'll keep it.
Yeah.
But,
Yeah. Speaking of that, I was telling Casey I have a mini hearth that my pogos were in when I first got them, and they trashed the inside of it. I pretty much didn't bother cleaning it. I just put it on the shelf and was just like, okay, you're a trophy. You stay right there.
there you go.
So, yeah.
Yeah, I couldn't even tell you on fingers or toes how many nests I've gone through. I actually just did like a sale where I just on Facebook to whoever wanted it. I've been moving from states and houses with just these big, huge boxes of nests, and I used to do review videos too, so I had a ton of stuff from that. And
Yeah.
yeah, it was just stuff I knew I was never going to use. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
I had to finally purge it.
Yeah. Yeah, I got a couple things that are in my room in boxes, like old nests. I got a lot of stuff from Poor and More I need to fix. There's like a lot of glass panels that are off, and I need to glue the magnets back on. And
We actually did a review of Poor More Arts back when our YouTube was called Myrmidon Nation.
oh, okay.
I think my buddy Jesse was involved then. I think it was like the honeycomb nest, but they make a lot of cool looking stuff. I haven't got anything from them, and he had that nest,
Yeah,
but they have some stuff I'd be interested to try out.
yeah. Lexi is in the comment section right now. She's one of the people that run it. Her and her
Nice.
husband. So yeah, she just said she remembers that review.
Yeah. I definitely like what they got going on in general. So.
Yeah, me too. Yeah, they're cool peoples. So, all right. Let's see if there's anything else. You guys have any more questions in the comments? Feel free to ask. Oh yeah, one thing I wanted to say was I like the GoPro idea.
Yeah,
Yeah, that was really cool. I was like, that'd be sweet.
that was my wife, and she's been bugging me to do it for a long time. But, um, oh yeah, a lot of times I'm just like lost out there, and in the moment of what's going on, I don't even know if I'd be there enough to strap some like the Arizona trip that I talked about on the Ant Hollifer show. You said you listened to like that
Yep.
one was that was such a wild trip that I don't know if I could have even pressed the button any of those times. You know what I mean?
All right.
Um, but it is something I want to do, and mainly like to give people a real grasp on if they're not sure if they could do it, anyone can realistically do it. And a lot of customers that I have, there was a kid actually from Dallas that contacted me last week. He didn't want any honeypots because he wanted a beginner species, and he's like, "When should I go look?" I said, "Go look after the rain on a warm day." And he messaged me a couple nights ago, and he's like, "You think tonight would be good?" I said, "Yeah, I know you got this species flying. Go check on the trees." And he sent me a bunch of pictures that night. He got 8 queens or something like that. So
Gee, that's
I'm all
wild.
for helping people
Yeah.
catch versus buy. Another guy from Lubbock, about 4 hours away, he contacted me, and I said, "Oh man, if you're this close to me and you're looking for pogos, you don't need to buy from me, man. You're going to be swimming in them in July." You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because here a flight is 10,000 queens, like no
Jeez.
problem.
That's crazy. Yeah.
They fly in my alley by the hundreds.
That's nuts. That's really cool. All right. Well, if there's nothing else that we could talk about, anything else on your mind that you would like to share with the community?
I mean, nothing in general, but kind of how you were talking, how you want to grow the community and stuff. I think that's a good venture for anyone to take that's interested in ant keeping, because
Yeah.
the more of us there are, the more information there is.
Yeah.
The actual research in myrmecology in general is not super up to date, and if it is, it's very pointed at certain little
Yeah.
areas. Arizona's got a good myrmecology team that is updating stuff. California has an okay one,
Yeah.
but the rest of the country is not really up to par on myrmecological research
Yeah.
and current information. And the more we grow the hobby, the more of that becomes accessible to us. And just
Yeah.
community is the best thing you can have in a hobby like this. And um, yeah, I just think everyone should do their part to grow it and give back some of the stuff that you're given. So if you have someone that helps you out to get started and kind of guides you along
Mm-hmm.
and teaches you, or takes you under their wing, so to speak,
Yeah.
do the same thing for the next guy. Like a lot of hobbies, there's a lot of gatekeeping involved, and
Yeah.
as far as spots go, I'm guilty of that, but I do a ton of research, and I'm also trying to run a business
Yeah.
on top of enjoying this hobby. But I try to give back in every way that I can, whether it's pricing affordably or literally doing tech support over the phone to help someone catch a queen,
Mm-hmm.
or care for a queen that I didn't sell them. Like,
Yeah.
it's all in the long run. It all adds up to good for all of us. It's none it, to give a little piece, you're gaining a lot. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Um,
Community wide. So
I have another question from Lexi, but before I ask that, you know about AntCon, right?
overseas,
The one
across the
overseas.
pond.
Yep.
Yes, yes.
So, Lexi wants to know, would you travel to get to an AntCon type of event if we were to put one on sometime in the future?
Yeah, I mean, I would love to. That would be super awesome.
Yeah.
And it's been brought up to have like an ant meetup of some sort, but it would just be like a logistical thing,
Yeah.
time wise, and most of that's going to have to do with through May through August is I have to be ready to go at the drop of a hat, pretty much.
Yeah.
But no, I would love to do something community wise like that. We even talked. My wife has always talked to me about, and I kind of mentioned to you earlier, having almost like an ant college where
Yeah.
it's just a course. We just call it that, but a bunch of people can meet up and we can catch queens out in the field. I can kind of talk about some environmental cues, whatever.
Yeah.
That would be more on for some inexperienced people, but to have a bunch of people meet up
Yeah.
that are already into ant keeping and experience, yeah, that'd be awesome. And
Yeah. That'd
I
be
would
sick.
definitely give a great effort in trying to do that.
Yeah. Yeah, that'd be cool. Yeah, Lexi was talking about that, and I was talking about possibly going next year to the one in Europe. Uh, Another question from her is, what do you hope for the future of Antopia, USA?
I just hope that it continues to grow and we can help people stay in the hobby and be successful and find their passion in it, not just sell them some queens and never talk to them again, and they probably disappear in a year or two. I would like to see the same people year after year and
Yeah.
hear the stories, see the colonies, hear about their adventures and trips, which a lot of people I do talk to, on a weekly basis, some people daily basis, like Casey, and
Yeah.
I just want to see the whole thing grow, and just in general. I mean, it'd be cool if someday I could not work my day job and just focus all my time on this and bring people super cool stuff and do something I enjoy. But I don't expect that out of this. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
This is this is part passion and part fueling my part of the hobby. So it just
Yeah.
I'm interested to see where it goes. I don't have any crazy expectations. I'm just taking it year by year, flight by flight, and
Yep.
trying to ride on the wings of good customer service and good reviews and stuff like that. Which so far we're doing phenomenal in all those. And
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Sweet. So yeah, I think that's pretty much it for this episode. Thank you for coming on, Vern. Appreciate it.
yeah, no problem, man. Thanks for having me.
Yeah. But yeah, we'll chat more, and hopefully next time we can get Casey on, and then we can just talk about ants, talk about whatever, and it'll be fun. So,
Heck yeah, I'd enjoy that.
one thing that Aunt Bay brought up to me was doing something around the 4th of July, but only bringing Americans on. So that might be something that we're gonna be thinking about. I'll keep you in the loop for that. I think it's gonna be around June or July for like 4th of July, but it's gonna be awesome. So, for let's see. Um, As for stuff going on with the show, um, I'm planning on doing a crossover episode with Grubbin' in the Filth. Have you heard of that podcast before?
Yeah. I've
Yep.
listened to a couple episodes that Mile Maxer was on.
Yeah. So we're gonna be planning on doing some type of crossover. He doesn't keep ants, but he knows quite a bit, and he had Miles on twice, and does other really knowledgeable about other things too. So we're gonna be talking about doing some type of crossover.
Okay.
The website has been down. I was talking about bringing that back up. Doing more YouTube videos and stuff like that. Some unboxing videos, and then I was talking about how listener support system. We'll get something back up when the website is up, but most of the stuff I get from the podcast kind of just goes back into buying ants. So, um, but yeah, I think that's pretty much it. How can you guys support the show? Simple. Tell people. Share on social media. Share on Instagram, on Facebook. Tag us. We'll tag you back. So tell your friends, your neighbors, your classmates, your girlfriends, your boyfriends, your lovers, your ex-lovers, anyone you see on the street. Tie a sign or on a stray dog or cat. Just kidding. Don't do that, folks. That's animal abuse. At your nearest pet store. I did it. While you're anting, tell people about the show. Leave a review on any audio app you're listening to the show on. 5 stars and a written review on iTunes, and we'll read on the show. I actually was able to talk about ant keeping at a pet store. Let's go. So, yeah. So that's pretty much it for this episode. Thank you again for coming on. All right. Say goodbye, Vern.
Thanks, guys, and we'll talk to you all soon.
All right, folks. Formicast out.